The Church of England every year keeps the last Sunday in January as Homelessness Sunday. So churches across the country are encouraged to think about the issue of homelessness. And with rough sleeping now on the rise for the 7th year in succession, and of course rough sleeping is only the tip of the iceberg, we really just wanted to engage with it. And of course, living in Norwich, I mean, every time I walk into the city centre, I will walk past people in doorways. I've been in Norwich for 3 years, and it's definitely got worse. And we get so many conflicting advice on, you should do this, you shouldn't do that, don't do this, don't give them anything, give them something, and it kind of, your head spins. So we decided that we really needed to have a major focus and really think about the issue properly, not kind of a soundbite, but kind of in a serious way. So we're starting it with Cardboard Citizens, which is a theatre company made up of homeless people or former homeless people who through their production will be exploring issues around homelessness. Then we're following that with a sponsored Sleep Out the Cloisters to raise money for a charity called the Church Urban Fund, which works in some of the most deprived communities across the country, including locally in Great Yarmouth and King's Lynn, where some of the deprivation factors aren't just high for Norfolk, they're high for the whole country. Then Saturday we'll recover from the sleep out, and then on Sunday morning at our main service, Michael Newey, who is the Chief Executive of Broadlands Housing, is speaking to help us think through again more about issues to do with homelessness and what are some of the answers. And then at lunchtime he's showing us a film called Calling Home, which is a new short that's just been produced, which is a very powerful film, just following one woman's story of how she becomes homeless. And that one we're hoping will lead into a kind of questions and answer session with Michael. And then kind of going on from this weekend, there's been a big initiative in the city centre which included an event last Tuesday on homelessness. We just want to continue to engage so that we can work out how can we stop this being kind of the hallmark of our city, and what is it as a city we can do. And it's interesting looking at some of the initiatives followed by different cities around the country, how they've tackled it, what could we do.
Really good.
So that's kind of the way forward from here.
Absolutely. And do you feel like homelessness is an issue that Norwich faces in particular, more so than other cities?
Definitely not more so. I mean, we've got about 30, some in that order of people who rough sleeping most nights in the city centre. But when you look on the charts, the east of England compared with the northeast and a whole lot of other cities, we're not anywhere near the top of it. Within the county, we're kind of off the hot spot. Obviously we're at the end of a train line, so people kind of take out. What I've been told, and I can't prove it to you, is that Norwich is known to be both a safe city and a generous city for rough sleepers, which is both a lovely thing, but also is what partly creates the problem. I know somebody who was a magistrate, and she said that when she was in the courts, a lot of women would come to Norwich to work the streets because they were safe. Now, at one level, thank God we live in a safe city and the girls feel safe, but, we don't want to become a magnet. One of the issues that the police would say is that one of the reasons why Norwich attracts people is because, in particular, the churches are very generous. But the problem with them being generous is that they attract more homeless people. So the more food you supply for free on the streets, the more you're handing out sleeping bags, the more people will come. And so we're kind of in this double whammy. And certainly what the statutory services are saying is don't do that. Don't give to people on the street. Give to the charities. Because what they want is if they can supply food indoors where there are other agencies available, you can begin to actually solve it rather than perpetuate it. So Norwich's kind of hallmark as a generous and safe city, at one level is a blessing and something we should be proud of, but at another level is what attracts a disproportionate number of people to come to the city. And of course within that there'll always be one or two that will exploit it. So there are one or two people now, persistent beggars who come in, and of course they then mess up the whole kind of attitude to homelessness, because then it gets out that, they're just, there are allegedly stories of people kind of rocking up in a taxi, then sitting on the street begging all day, and then going home at night.
Probably very rare,
but you only need to take one story like that, which is, according to the police, a true story, that then makes everyone wary of supporting anybody. So, and that's why it just gets so complicated. The ordinary folk, like you and me, kind of say, well, what are we meant to do? So kind of trying to spend some time thinking about it properly.
And do you know how the money will be invested then through the Church Urban Fund?
So the Church Urban Fund the money is dedicated to projects working with homeless people across Britain.
So it goes out of Norwich then?
It'll go across the country. I mean, obviously some of it, as I say, will come back into Yarmouth, some of it will come back into King's Lynn. But Church Urban Fund is a respected body, so the way it's often working in communities that other people won't work in, and therefore, if because of what we do, we raise enough money that means someone somewhere won't sleep rough or will be helped out of homelessness. Yeah. And of course, we're focusing the sleep out on rough sleeping, but it's all the sofa surfers, it's the people in bed and breakfast accommodation. There's so much hidden. There's 4,751 on the last national count, people rough sleeping. Most charities think that's an underestimate, they're always sleeping rough sleepers. But rough sleeping is just a tiny bit of the iceberg compared with the sofa surfers, the bed and breakfast people, one of the richest countries in the world. What the hell's going on?
Exactly. I know I have a question, but what do you feel are the biggest challenges or barriers that are facing people who are homeless or that are perpetuating this problem at the root?
Well, I think our attitude to mental health is definitely one. The impenetrable nature of the benefit system, family breakdown, obviously addiction, but it just comes down to how we want to order ourselves as a society. Do we want, our society works really well for the haves, but it's really quite rubbish for the have-nots. And we make our system so complicated to help people. It's almost like we're willing people to want to claim benefits to fail the tests. So because it's this mythology that poor people are scroungers, and people whose lives collapse are scroungers, and that and there's this mythology of the deserving poor and the undeserving poor, and we're living in. I really find all that stuff really quite difficult and upsetting, because the main thing is just to help